Kalen's consciousness returned in fragments. First the cold, then the pain, and finally the crushing realization that something was terribly wrong. His eyes snapped open to a ceiling of bioluminescent moss, pulsing with sickly green light. The air tasted metallic, wrong. He tried to move and discovered his wrists were bound with what felt like living vines, their thorns pressing just hard enough against his skin to discourage struggle without breaking flesh. The human stirs. A voice hissed from somewhere beyond his field of vision. Kalen turned his head, slowly, carefully, and his blood ran cold. They surrounded him in a perfect circle. Dozens of them. Small, child-sized figures with elongated limbs and eyes that reflected the dim light like mirrors. Their skin bore patterns that shifted and changed, adaptive camouflage rippling across their bodies even in stillness. The Vexnari cubs. All of them. But cubs shouldn't be here. Cubs shouldn't be this far from the colony's nursery habitat. And they definitely shouldn't be staring at him with that particular blend of curiosity and hunger. Where? Kalen's voice cracked. He swallowed and tried again. Where are your parents? The cubs exchanged glances, their heads tilting in unison like a flock of predatory birds. Then they parted, and through the gap walked another figure, slightly larger than the rest, with deeper patterns etched into his carapace. I am Vash, the cub leader said, his translator device rendering his chittering speech into flat, emotionless English. We have no parents anymore. They sold us. Kalen's mind raced. He was a xenoanthropologist, assigned to study the Vexnari colony on Station Kepler 442. The adult Vexnari were client species to the Churati Empire, highly valued for their adaptability and camouflage abilities. But there had been rumors, whispers of cubs disappearing, of black market trades, of genetic harvesting. Sold you to whom? Kalen asked, keeping his voice steady despite the thorns digging deeper into his wrists. Does it matter? Vash crept closer, his movements unervingly fluid. We were cargo. Product. Until the transport crashed on this moon. His eyes fixed on Kalen with disconcerting intensity. We survived. We adapted. We learned that trust is a poison. I'm not your enemy. You are human, Vash said simply. Humans broker deals. Humans facilitate trades. Humans look the other way when cubs scream in holding cells. He raised one clawed hand. We found you unconscious near the wreckage of your shuttle. Another crash. This moon seems to collect the broken things the galaxy discards. Kalen's memories were returning now. He'd been investigating reports of the missing cubs, following a lead that had brought him to this uncharted moon. His shuttle had been sabotaged. He'd realized that seconds before the systems failed. Someone didn't want the cubs found. Listen to me, Kalen said, putting every ounce of sincerity he possessed into his words. I was looking for you. I was trying to help you. The cubs chittered among themselves, a sound like wind through dead leaves. Vash's patterns flickered through shades of deep crimson. Anger, Kalen knew from his studies. Help, Vash repeated mockingly. The Churati said they would help our colony prosper. The merchants said they would help transport us to better facilities. Everyone helps. No one saves. Kalen understood then. These cubs had been betrayed by every authority figure in their young lives. Words meant nothing to them anymore. Only actions mattered. You're right, Kalen said quietly. I can't make you trust me with words. He took a breath. But I can give you something none of them did. A choice. Vash's head tilted. What choice? Kill me, or let me prove myself. Kalen met the cub leader's eyes without flinching. If you kill me, you're still trapped on this moon with a crashed shuttle and no way off. If you let me live, I'll repair both our ships. Get you somewhere safe. Somewhere the Churati can't reach you. And why would we trust that you wouldn't simply call your authorities once we're in space? Because, Kalen said, a grim smile touching his lips, I already told you. I was investigating. That means I went against authority to find you. That means someone powerful wanted you to stay lost. He paused. That means I'm as much a target as you are now. The cubs fell silent. Their patterns shifted through dozens of colors as they communicated through their natural color language, too fast for Kalen to follow. Finally, Vash raised a hand, and one of the cubs scurried forward to cut Kalen's bonds. The vines fell away, and Kalen rubbed his wrists, feeling blood flow return to his fingers. You have 3 days, Vash said. If you cannot repair the ships in 3 days, or if you betray us, We will ensure you die slowly. We have learned many things about anatomy in our time alone. Fair enough, Kalen said, pushing himself to his feet. His body ached from the crash, but nothing felt broken. I'll need tools, and I'll need some of you to help me. Over the next 3 days, Kalen worked alongside the cubs in a tense but gradually softening alliance. He quickly discovered that the Vexnari young were remarkably intelligent, able to squeeze into tight spaces in the wreckage and manipulate delicate components with their nimble digits. More importantly, he learned their stories. Vash had been the oldest of 50 cubs stolen from the colony nursery. 32 had survived the initial capture. 27 had made it to the transport ship. Only 19 lived through the crash. Each loss was etched into Vash's memory with perfect clarity. Names, faces, final words. We are not meant to survive alone, Vash confided on the second night as they worked by the light of Kalen's emergency beacon. Cubs need the colony's resonance, the mental link of adult minds to guide pattern development. Without it, we are. He struggled for the word. Incomplete. But you're surviving anyway, Kalen observed, carefully reconnecting a power coupling. Surviving is not living. On the third day, both ships were operational. Kalen stood in the clearing between them. The cubs gathered around, their patterns anxious and uncertain. I made a promise, Kalen said. I'll take you somewhere safe. But there's something you need to know first. He activated his datapad, projecting a holographic map. The Churati have a bounty on you. Every station in this sector will scan for Vexnari cubs. Every colony will report you. Vash's patterns darkened to deep purple, despair. However, Kalen continued, there's a human colony at the edge of this system. Independent. Not part of any empire or federation. They have a policy. Any refugee who makes it to their gates is given sanctuary, no questions asked. No exceptions. Why would humans do this? Vash asked suspiciously. Because, Kalen said quietly, humans were refugees once too. Because we know what it's like to be hunted. Because, he paused, choosing his words carefully. Because we remember that the measure of a civilization isn't how it treats the powerful, but how it protects the vulnerable. Vash stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, his patterns shifted to pale blue. Hope, tentative and fragile. If you are lying, then you'll kill me slowly, Kalen finished with a slight smile. I remember the terms. They left the moon together, 2 ships flying in formation toward the edge of civilization. Behind them, the wreckage of their crashes remained as monuments to survival. Ahead, the possibility of sanctuary glimmered like a distant star, and Kalen, watching the cubs crowd against the viewports of his shuttle to stare at the approaching colony lights, understood that this was why humanity had clawed its way to the stars. Not for glory, not for conquest, but for this, the chance to be the help that actually saved, the choice that actually mattered, the species that remembered what it meant to be lost and chose to light the way home for others. The human had awoken surrounded by fear and suspicion. But in the end, surrounded by hope, he found something worth more than trust, that he found purpose.